broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. It's the Medcare Business Network, featuring your host, Tom Harbin.
Except today, it's special host Keith Ofert, right? So thank you, by the way, Tom, for letting me jump in here.
Hey, no problem. You're welcome, Keith.
So welcome to Medcare Business Network. And I have to the left of me, Jacquel Tucker.
Hello,
How
everybody.
Are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you found a parking spot.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You made a special one for me.
I try.
VIP.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, only the best. So, okay, so first of all, where's your accent from?
Oh, it's combined. Jamaica, America, including Maine.
That is
Maine,
a separate
New Jersey,
country sometimes.
Atlanta, Jamaica,
Wow.
and then a little bit of Jacquel thrown in.
Okay. All right, what's a little bit of Jacquel? What's that like?
Well, however I feel, whichever day.
Okay, cool. All right.
No one knows where I'm from when they hear it.
That's okay, though. It keeps them guessing, right?
Yes.
You're the mystery. So, okay, so you're here today. We're going to talk about the J. Tucker Group and then My Purpose on Fire.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those are things that you do. Tell me about them.
Yeah. So I have a hospitality background. That's what I went to school for, all the way up in Maine. And so from that, you know, my expertise is sales, marketing, branding, training. You know, I segued to being an entrepreneur, walked away from my six-figure job, crazy Jacquel.
Wow.
That's another side of me. I'm a Gemini, crazy. So I walked away and God called me to start my nonprofit to help, you know, others in a big way, Jamaica and here in the U.S. And so at the same time, I also became an entrepreneur. So naturally, what I started was a hospitality consulting company.
Yeah.
And so I was doing task force for hotels, sales, leadership, and customer service trainings, so on and so forth. And so I transitioned from that to the J. Tucker Group in 2020 when the pandemic hit. So a lot of trainings I had, you know, canceled those. But I was transitioning before because God gave me a heart for entrepreneurs. You know, I've been through the process and I used to get a lot of questions.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's how I wrote my book, you know. So you made the big jump. Oh, my goodness. That is so scary. How'd you do it? So all those questions I put in a book, and that started giving me a heart for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
For people who really wanted to get something started, but just overwhelmed with the lack of knowledge, what they consider the process to be. And I just wanted to simplify it for them. You know, my husband, Sean, was a great mentor for me. He has his own business. And so there is just so much I've learned about being an entrepreneur, the process, and then combined with my sales and marketing background to be able to achieve success, you know, successfully launch. And I just wanted to help others.
Yeah, you've got a recipe for it. I mean,
Yeah.
So every good story in the entrepreneur world starts with, I made the jump, right? I left the big job and decided to go on my own. And then you got God in there because you had a calling. And then you're like, well, I got sort of the skill set for it too. So, but now you have two entrepreneurs in the household, right?
Yes, I do.
So is it crazy? I mean, is your schedule crazy?
It's crazy good.
Yeah.
Because there's always an understanding of what we're each going through.
Right.
And we're each other's sounding board. So even when it comes on to representation of ourselves and of our company, decisions to be made in terms even of hiring, marketing, business ideas. So we can each bounce that off each other. And it's amazing. We work in the same space.
Yeah.
And people look at us like, okay, you work together, you're both entrepreneurs, and you go home together. And I'm like, well, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And if it works, it works.
it works.
And
You
I
have
think
to make it work.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I think you're correct when you say he can relate. So unless sometimes you're in this space, it's really hard to relate. So for those that I know, you have another half who probably has sometimes struggles a little bit to kind of understand that, you know, I'm going to work until 11, 12 at night sometimes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And at the beginning of our business, my wife helped me, and I think I fired her about 5 times. But we found our own lane.
And yet she's still married to you.
Yeah, and it worked. And, you know, again, hey, you know what? It works for you and your spouse. And Tina, my wife, does things for me that allowed me to go out there and do what I do. And I couldn't do it without her. See, we're a team there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Okay, so talk to me about your process of like relating this to those that are interested in being entrepreneurs.
So my process, do you mean in terms of how they get launched or?
Yeah, I mean, just like, well, where do you start? Like when somebody says, hey, I want to make the big jump.
Okay.
What do I do?
So first of all, what I do is I go through a qualification process because I want to make sure that they're focused on doing the right thing. You know, sometimes people say, yeah, I want to make the jump and this is what I want to do. And just from knowing them or seeing who they are, I'm like, I know that's not it, because they're just saying that because they see someone else doing it and they're figuring, oh, they're doing great. So if I make the jump, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that it is their true calling. It is their lane, because that's the only way they're going to be successful is if they're operating in their own authentic self and authentic experience and expertise. Yeah. Because when the rubber meets the road, people want to know what you're made of and know that you're fully vested in your business. Yeah. And so if you're doing it from a place of passion, then it's going to be sustainable because you have such a great why as to why you're doing it.
It's your fuel.
Yes, exactly.
I think there's not enough people in the world telling other people that that's a really bad idea and you probably shouldn't do that.
Exactly.
You know, and
I will tell you.
There you go. I mean, sometimes the honest truth hurts, but I mean, I know it would have saved me a lot of time and money in the beginning.
Yeah.
So if you know, okay, so I've got the passion, I've got a great idea. I don't even know where to start. Like, do I quit my job and just go ahead and go? Or like how, I mean, what do I do?
Unless God tells you to quit your job, do not do it. I tell people, do not do what I did. I was told to do that, and I can see why. And so there's a process. First of all, you also have to make some decisions. You know, this is predicated on a lot of other scenarios in your life. You know, if you're a single parent with children to take care of, do not just walk away without a plan.
Right.
And so even when I wrote this book, it was to talk about how people make the jump. People make the jump because they go into work and they're fed up one day, or they get fired, or they plan well for it. Yeah. And that's like the best scenario. Anticipate this is going to happen. Set a timeline so that we're not procrastinating. And 10 years later, you're in the same space. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get that started. So we set a time, and then that's where accountability comes in. And so from there, it's now these are the steps we need to take to get you launched, gradual growth, so then you can walk away from it.
Yeah. So, and I know this will probably be a really biased question, but do you think those that have an accountability partner, those that have somebody that guides them, they're gonna be way more successful, obviously, in this kind of path, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I can tell you, everybody that you see is successful has accountability in their lives. Even all the greatest, the most famous people, every coach has a coach. Yeah. Every business owner has someone at a greater level, or at least that accountability group of peers that's going to help keep you on track, because we're humans. That's our natural nature. We also like shiny new objects and processes and things. So, you know, you're walking towards something, a path that's working, and then something new and great comes out. You get distracted. So we just need to be pulled in and to say, stay the course, stay focused on the strategy, because long term they will work. Yeah.
So who's your accountability partner?
First and foremost is my husband, and then I have a couple of business peers. They're basically from all over the world, you know, including an awesome
so you have like a council?
Yeah, so we've got a peer group. We're on the same level, and we have the same focus and drive. And so together, because I might not be feeling motivated today or this week or this month, and so having those conversations and tapping into, hey, what's really going on? Yeah. You know, sometimes it's outside forces, and sometimes you just need people to come alongside you just to encourage you and to know.
Or to tell you it's a bad idea.
Yeah, or to tell you it's a bad idea. Yeah, just to be truthful. And my husband's good like that.
Yeah. Right. Who's your accountability partner, Tom?
You know, I was just sitting here listening to Jacquel share that, and you know, what I loved, I'm like, where was she when I started my business 20 years ago? Because I always felt like the best experiences is someone else's. And I think you would have probably shaved off at least 10 years, okay? And we
of the learning curve?
Yes. Yeah. And what an awesome opportunity. And, you know, again, what I was saying before, you know, you are a excuse remover. And that's what this world needs more of. As far as my accountability partner is my wife, Tina, and also God. You know, one thing that, you know, you shared earlier, and this hit home, you made me go back to what we were talking about earlier about the 18-wheeler, right? You know, I remember having my power turned off, and I had 3 kids in the house. because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, one of those defining moments.
And I was just one of those hardheads that said, I'm not going to quit. I got to feed my family. And I did turn it over to God, but then I got around people that could help me. So anyway, Jacquel, that's what you're sharing just really hit home with me. So thank
Very
you.
cool. Yeah. Okay, so and then my next question that I always follow that one up with is who have been your mentors? Because you've been successful, and I always like to know who the successful people's mentors have been.
I could tell you, even making the transition to what I am doing now, I have an awesome mentor, and her name is Tamara Lowe. She has Kingdom Builders Academy, and just amazing, her seeing the potential. In fact, we were live on one of her live events back in January, and it had a registration of over 25,000 leaders from all over the world. And she had me on there just sharing with people, my journey and my testimony as to what God's doing in my life. And, at the end of the day, she said, picked her top 3 kingdom builders for the year, and I was one.
Really?
And
Congratulations.
and just to give you the scope, the person that won was actually has a 7-figure business. And here's little me, but seeing the drive and seeing something there, and the impact I've been having in people's lives. So, she's been a great mentor to me. And oh my goodness, I keep mentioning my husband, just an amazing, amazing entrepreneur. He's very low key, but boy, if someone could sit one day and pick his brain, it would be mind blowing.
I'll take you up on that offer.
Take me up on that. The thoughts and ideas he has, very, very sharp guy. And then, of course, you mentioned God before. So it's just walking in his ways and just staying close to him and what his plans are for my life. He's never steered me wrong. Yeah. And then there are some other people as well, in my life.
Very cool. Okay, so tell me what is My Purpose on Fire? Give me the 10,000 foot view, and then give me the day-to-day view.
Okay, so My Purpose on Fire is rolled up under the Jacquel Tucker Group. It is my signature coaching program. And so I got the name because God gave me that name. So I shared this story before about what happened during COVID. And just so you know, during COVID, when things were transitioning with my company, I never got the PPP loan, and I never got the unemployment. I didn't get the $600. Yes. And so I was concerned about that and pursuing that. And God stopped me in my tracks and says, I need you to serve people during this time through your nonprofit. People were starting to call us a lot for food and different things because the loss was so great.
Sure.
And I said, well, God, we don't have any of those things. We're just 5 years old. We're a tiny nonprofit. And it's almost like you hear him say, during this time, just stand back and see my salvation. I'm going to show you some things, Jacquel, just stay faithful to what I'm going to put in front of you to do, and I'm going to take care of you. I've never forsaken the righteous. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Amen. One thing I also learned is you've got to look for the opportunities that he's showing you to move, the small steps so the greater things can happen. So a friend of mine, her name's Marcia with the Lions Club, she said, hey, Jacquel, we have a truck and we can get you 200 boxes so you can go feed people for your nonprofit. And I'm like, okay. When is it? Oh, Saturday morning. You got to be here at 7. And I was like, heck.
There it goes.
I don't know. But that was only a second, the flesh in me. And I said to my husband, we're going to get up and we're going to go get the food. We did that. And not long after, a couple of weeks after, she said, the USDA is interested in giving 18-wheelers. And I was like, what? And it got to a point where we could have had an 18-wheeler every single weekend. But during COVID, we were faithfully out there, at least 2 weekends a month. And we were serving up to 2,000, families.
Yeah.
And through
That's
all
incredible.
the churches that would come pick up. And not only that, but we also had another resource partner that was providing household items, new clothing, undergarments, additional food. And so just serving that way and knowing that for most of those months, I was not getting a single paycheck, but you would know it.
You were getting fueled in other ways that I can tell. That
Mm-hmm.
was something that kept you motivated.
Yes. I found the joy in it. And just remember, at the height of it all, people were locked down in their house. They could come to the drive-through. So that was the only chance. Some people live by themselves.
Couldn't even see another person.
Exactly. And we were playing music out there. It was it was just insane. So it was, and God said to me, when it was all done, we wrapped up last year, May, and I said, so what now? He said, you are purpose on fire, and I want you to show other people how to become that. I've called them, I've given them special skills and talents to launch, whether it's their business, nonprofit, or whatever. And they're dragging their feet, but I need you to help them do it. And so I think a part of that for me is just seeing the vision for people. I can talk to someone, and it's almost like they're throwing all these experience, thoughts, ideas. They're like darts on a board, and by the time they're done, God forms it in a pattern, and I'm like, that's what you should be doing, and they're like shocked. And I said, okay, now let's go do it.
Yeah, sometimes it takes that outside view of things,
Yes.
that see the forest for the trees kind of thing, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you get told to do this, you're putting patterns together. Like, how are you getting that out of people?
Yeah, so we go through, it's a 90-day process. And so people will say, I have one of my clients who said, we launched in 90 days what takes most people 2 years to do. And they were putting together unemployment agencies so they could bring Jamaicans on visas here to work in the hotels. And so what I do is I sit down and, of course, I dissect the experiences, expertise, talents, and okay, this is what we're going to do. We're either going to launch a business or it's either going to be a nonprofit. And then what type of business? So naturally, someone has certain skill sets, talents with their hands. That's what we're doing, right? Or it's services. And so we go through the process of now we're going to break it down. And now it's getting the clarity and confidence, because you can come up with all the ideas that you want. If you don't believe from the get-go that you can do this. And so it's helping them to instill the confidence by showing how God was preparing them for this moment and why they're qualified. He qualifies the called. And so we look at that. Then there is a process of doing the things. So now we've got to set it up. Right. So we're setting it up as an LLC. We're doing the EIN. We're going through the process of registering with your state.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts. The confusing stuff, too.
The confusing stuff that they thought was confusing. But I make sure that they have an inside look as to what it is. Because as an entrepreneur, even if you're going to outsource services and pay for things, you should know what you're paying for. And it does bring a certain amount of confidence knowing how the foundation was laid. So, some will say, oh my gosh, it's a little painful. One client called me one day and she said, I know who you are. You're my doula. I'm birthing a baby and you're helping me. So I take them through that, set it up, and then, of course, branding. You can set things up all you want, but how are you representing yourself and how are you representing God? And it has
creating to be, that memorable experience.
Yes. And it has to be done in excellence. So we talk about branding. I have a toolbox. I provide them with the tools and resources that they need. We go through working through a business plan. I've done countless ones in hospitality, business plan, what your startup budget needs to look like, all those that people don't think about. I talk through logos as far as branding, logos, colors, even the meaning of colors, websites, what takes a great, what it takes to have a great website, all the components, photos, everything.
Yeah. So in this 90-day process, how exhausted am I in the end?
Well,
like
it's a good
it's a method, right? I mean, you have to participate.
Yes, you have to. It's a working session. So it's a done with you, not a done for you.
Right.
So we're doing it as we go. There is teaching and then there is working. So it's not at the end of the 90 days, you got your binder of info. Now let's go do it. At the end of 90 days, it's actually done and you are launched. And so it's exhausting, but a good exhaustion.
It's rewarding.
But it's not overwhelming.
Okay.
It's
all
not
right. That's where you come in, right? That's what you make it streamlined for it.
Breathe.
Right.
Breathe.
Okay, so now I've gotten past my 90 days and I'm open and I'm up and running. But now what do I do? We've done everything. Now what? I just sit back and make money, or what do we do?
So you start making money, and it's funny because during the 90 days, I do touch on a few things. I talk through, the CRM, all of that, and how to build a list and how to start getting sales. So organically, it's so funny, as I was talking earlier before we got started, that this year, Level 2 just automatically got launched because then they were coming back like,
They're like, I need something to do.
Can you help me with this? Or maybe now they're ready for a deeper dive into social media and to establish their following well. And whether it's, needing help, like, okay, now let's build out maybe a lead magnet or something, depending for those who have services, and even showing them how to show up even better. You'd be surprised that, there are people, family and friends who had no idea what they do or expertise, followers on social media. Then they start posting and someone's like, oh, you do that? I love that. I want that. So it's the deeper dive of how to grow and to scale. And that is something like I haven't even done like the official mass launching of that.
I think you just did it right there.
I just did. It's launched level 2. And basically it's like you've launched, now what? So it's barely to grow, scale for impact.
So what do you think? What are the keys? What do I need inside me to do something like that? What do you think are the things that are going to lead me to success if I want to be an entrepreneur?
Consistency is key. And that's where a lot of people fall off because they have a short-term view of success. You've got to know you're in this for the long haul.
Right.
And that's why you've got to be true to what you're called to do. If you are passionate and your why is right, that's what's going to sustain you, because there are people who come in, they're looking for overnight success because they think everybody else has had it. But it's because they didn't know those people were working and toiling all their lives to get to that point. So just knowing that, and then, of course, constantly having that accountability, and just be open to change. Just because you launch something and build it, they won't just all come all the time.
Right.
You've got to anticipate, even before you get to the point, thinking ahead, and that's one of the things in my program. Yeah, we're launching this now, but what does 5-10 years from now look like? And a part of the process is there's got to be a greater purpose than I want to launch this and make a lot of money. I want to be famous, whatever, right? And so because the driver is not money, because the money will come if you're transforming people. So even with products, how is it going to make people feel? So you have to think beyond the actual thing and service. It's about everyone that comes in encounter with you, whether it's with a product or service, their life has to be changed or impacted in some way.
That butterfly effect.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And having that greater vision, like I take people all the way to well done on that day. What is it that you want God to say well done about? Let's make a list and see how what he's called you to do plays a role in that.
Yeah. I always find it amazing when you watch people that make it, or they hit the big mark of success, or they're famous or whatever. Everybody they think it happens overnight, right? And everybody forgets that there was 20 or 30 years before that of like really hard work and toil and rejection and all these other things that really can mess with your psyche and just kind of tear you down. And so to still be standing, and I mean, you've been in business for 20 years, so like somebody looks at you now and says, oh man, you guys are great, you guys are successful. Like they don't know the other 19 years that went behind it.
No, again, just listening to Jacquel share her vision and things that she's doing, I mean, that is so helpful out there. I'm thinking of all kinds of things. I'm like, wow, it's been 20 years, and I keep thinking it has to be more than the money. It has to be more than, I mean, what's going to sustain when the what hits the fan, because it's coming. And and
what's going to keep you getting up for 20 years every morning and going and do the same thing? I mean,
you got to have and again, the passion. I mean, you have to have a calling to something bigger than yourself. Definitely.
You started this in 2016. Like you started making the move to
entrepreneurship at the end of 2016. I remember November 4th.
Yeah, see?
Yes.
Is that much of an impact? I remember mine was January 15th in 2015. I remember absolutely like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So, but that's 8 years you've got behind you. So nobody sees that, right? So
nobody sees that. And it's funny that you're talking about this, because one of the reasons why people they look at those who have made it and done really well, and they say, oh, I could do that too, and they want it in like 2 to 3 weeks.
It's just
is
not
because real. When people get to the top like that, they don't share enough of what the journey and the struggles have been. They don't take the time to, because not realizing that part of the story is what's going to help people and with the expectation.
And sometimes it's the operations, which is the boring stuff. It's the meetings, it's the yes no's, it's the decisions, it's those kinds of things. So I mean, it's not the glamorous, oh, we came up with an idea and all of a sudden we changed the world kind of thing. So I want to get everybody the opportunity because you have so many things that you're working on, but where can they find you or contact you or just find out all the cool stuff that you're doing?
Absolutely. I think for this purpose, and I'll definitely direct them to my mypurposeonfire.com website. So mypurposeonfire.com, and my signature 90-day program is Purpose on Fire, discover, ignite, and launch your true purpose in just 90 days. So through that process, you will get unstuck. You will gain clarity on your calling. You're going to establish this unshakable foundation, build it on the rock, and launch with influence and impact.
And then we'll tell you what to do after that, right?
Then we'll tell you what to do after that. It's a journey. We'll keep it going. So that's where they can find me. I'm also on social media under Jacquel Tucker. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and then also My Purpose on Fire. My Purpose on Fire has its own Facebook page as well. So we've got a great community we're building. And when you go to my website, you can also download my free gift. It's called You Found Your Purpose, Now What? It's my 5 keys to set your purpose on fire and create a life of joy, passion, and fulfillment.
Okay. And then I want to know how do I get signed up with you? Do I just give you a call and we book a time, or what's that look like?
So when you go to my website, or you could send me an email, I do book a free 45-minute strategy session. I call it my Purpose Ignition session because I want to listen to you.
You got everything branded. I love it.
Because I want to listen to you and hear what God's placed on your heart. I want to hear your journey and to see how that comes into play, and if this is something that's right for you and if it's the right time for you. So if nothing else, there are people that I've jumped on calls with and it may not be the right timing for whatever reason, but I want everyone to walk away with a plan. Even if they're not completely ready because of family situations, I want to show them, start working on this particular thing now. Just to make sure that they're having an impactful encounter with me.
Well, that's good. You're taking baby steps too, and it shows the commitment level, and it also spaces it out because it's overwhelming to do it all at once, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
I want to let Tom thank you for letting me host because this has been fun. I haven't done it in a while. So
you did a great job. And Jacquel, I just want to say, keep telling your story. You're amazing. I mean, the energy that you bring and the people that you're helping out there. I hope that everyone that's listening to this will go and check her out and get more information because I appreciate what you're doing.
Are you still doing the 18-wheeler thing?
Thank you. No, the 18-wheeler, that program ended with the last administration. The last month was May. So we still do monthly distributions, and actually we are still serving over 10 communities in Jamaica.
That's crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's
because
why maybe you were talking about something earlier. So.
Yes, because we're serving the refugee community here a lot, including this weekend. So we do distribution of resources, and we also still ship to Jamaica.
Cool.
So we ship every quarter. We're serving over 10 communities, but we've done up to 8 school improvement projects in like 5 years. And later this year, we're praying on this, but we want to get started on our first rural community resource center in Jamaica.
Very neat.
So we'll be starting fundraising for that to give this rural community and surrounding communities a purposeful place. It'll have a library, computer lab, central play area for the community students, workshop space where we want to foster and we want to foster entrepreneurship because that is so big. Their teach skill set. Yeah. Use your environments. Teach people how to fish instead of just going and giving them stuff. So, and just embrace the community. Have a health clinic once a month. So that is community vegetable garden to feed the shut-ins and to help the schools. Yeah. It's
changing lives. I mean, really changing
lives.
Like this stuff over there will do exponential growth for them.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if I wanted to give to that or help you with that, how do I do that?
So they would go to thejamaicaprojectusa.org. There is a Jamaica Project organization, so it's the Jamaica Project USA.
Okay, see, it's the that counts, right? So
there is only one.
Very cool. Well, again, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate this conversation. Has been fantastic. So
thank you.
I wish you all of your luck. And if anybody's interested, you can check this out at mypurposeonfire.com or the jtuckergroup.com.
Yes.
Right. And then, of course, you can find this interview on Medcare Business Network. I always get this messed up. So the MedcareBusinessNetwork.com, or you can find it on MedcareStaffing.com website. See, there we go. That's why I got confused. So, but that's been it. And again, thank you for coming in today.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Awesome.
If you want to hear more, go to MedcareBusinessNetwork.com. This has been a presentation of Medcare Staffing, where we come through for you.